So, Francis, you were talking about not needing to be afraid, right? And for the church, recognizing a pruning coming, and I'm just picturing like leaders watching this video, hearing what you're saying, and just going, okay, yes, I'm really like striving to have that sort of perspective, but also I'm dealing with like some real challenges right in front of me. And for those churches that are really struggling, I mean, I guess I'm thinking like, do you think what might the Lord be calling them to do? Do you think there's some like pivots that need to be happening? How would you encourage some of these pastors and leaders that maybe their giving's down, they aren't able to run the programs they've been running? The way they've been approaching things is really difficult right now. Yeah, what is, I guess, maybe a little bit more tangible, like what do you think the Lord's maybe prompting some of these churches towards, some of these pastors?
Mhm. Yeah, I recognize like I'm more the personality that's ready to pivot, ready to change. I'm not one to stick with something just because I've done it for so long. Um, in other words, if I owned a cruise ship, I would sell it right now. I'm not going to say, but I've been running cruises my whole life. It's like, yeah, that's just not a good investment anymore. Maybe you can make a comeback, but I would have just sold it yesterday, and just figured I'll find another way of, running a business, but I'm not gonna go down with the cruise ship. Um, so in the same way, I would look at the church right now and first with a confidence and going the true church, the true believers, we're not going to be taken down. So step one, total peace. God's still in control. He promised his church would be invincible, unstoppable. And so it's kind of like, even if people say, like maybe we had a bunch of people saying they were Navy SEALs. And then, we had to swim across the swimming pool and they're freaking out and grabbing a life jacket. It's like, I knew you guys were lying, like you always just said you were a Navy SEAL. There's no way you swim like that. And so there's like this exposing time of people terrified of death and terrified of, we're not even hitting persecution right now. And people are freaking out. It was like I was talking to a pastor the other week who was saying, man, it just feels like we've been swimming, and now there's like this 1 mile an hour current, and people are dropping off like crazy. And he goes, there's a 10 mile an hour current that's coming, and then a 20 mile an hour current coming. And I believe that. I think this is a small start. Again, persecution hasn't even really come into America, and we're already showing how vulnerable we are. And so I just believe this is the grace of God showing us, look, this is a start. There may be a break from this. We don't know what's going to happen. Now let's get serious. What is our job? We got to get back to, what is my job as a shepherd? And again, if you're going, well, I don't know if I can shepherd because I don't know financially the church. Well, dude, that's kind of showing your own true colors too. Just like you guys, like no one's going to stop me from being a shepherd. Okay, if I got to work another job, I'll work another job. I've done that before, and I'll shepherd when I get off of work. But that's my calling from God. That's like the highest calling on the earth. I really believe that. Man, I've been called to be an elder in the church, a leader in his body for his people. And so a paycheck or amount of a paycheck isn't going to change that. That's the core of who I am. And so we as leaders have to go, man, is that still me? No matter what happens, I'm going to be shepherding people. And now what's the format? That's where I go, I wouldn't hold on to, okay, it has to be in a building and it has to be for an hour and a half, and it has to be, 40 minutes of worship, 40 minutes of teaching, 5 minutes announcement, 1 minute greeting time. Like that's not the biblical part. Yeah, that could be destroyed. Um, that could be crushed because Christ didn't promise, a service in a building. Or he promised this force that we would be a part of his ecclesia, this group of believers that could move forward, that we as elders could equip the saints for every work of service. And so we just have to go back to our roots and go, God called me to equip these people. And that means if he's called me to it, I have the ability to do that. So if I don't have the ability to do a service in a building and afford a giant staff, okay, time to pivot. The goal is still the same. I've got to equip these people. And the goal is probably even more clear now. I need to equip my people so that they can be anywhere on their own, no matter what persecution comes, and they can grow deeper in their walk with the Lord, and they can make disciples, and they can gather and fellowship and celebrate communion. They know how to evangelize. Like this is what we need to prepare our people for. And so the structure, the format of how it's done, I think this is forcing it. I mean, it's like us right now. Here we are. You're in San Francisco. I'm in Hong Kong. And yet we believe the Lord's calling us to do something. Let's figure it out through Zoom. There's going to be a way. You just have to figure it out. And you have to let go of the structure if it's not clearly biblical. I'm not saying it's unbiblical. It's neutral. It's like the cruise ship. That wasn't like some of it was evil, but it's just a form of entertainment. I can switch to another. If I'm called to be an entertainer, I'll figure out another way to entertain people. So I just feel like we're called to equip the church. And let's get back to thinking through how can we equip people. And that may mean no longer getting paid. It may mean we work another job. Maybe we find something that enables it. Man, just yesterday, I was in at Ernst & Young, okay, giant corporation, 3,000 people here in Hong Kong, and just so encouraged by some of the people working there because they're working 14, 15, hours a day. And so they're using every opportunity to share the gospel there and seeing the way they fellowship, seeing the way they love. I mean, there are great shepherds there really caring for their people. I'm going, this is so cool, so powerful. They just had to figure out in this environment where people are working so much, maybe we can figure out how to, rather than all commuting to a place, figure out how to be the church right here in our building. Like, you just have to be creative, and God will give you a way.
Yeah, I think about, like, as you're talking, I think about many of the conversations we've had over the last few years have been a call to simplicity, like wanting to really think through kind of what you're really getting into, like biblically, what does the church need to be like at minimum? And so there's a lot of other optional stuff we could be doing, but really when you boil it down, the church can be very simple. And you think about even like the qualifications of a leader in scripture, 1 Timothy 3 and Titus 1, it's like godly character. It doesn't have to be somebody who's really amazing leader, somebody really eloquent, somebody who's able to pull off a great service. And it seems, I know you've shared a lot about part of us trying to prepare for any and every circumstance, whether it's economic challenges, persecution, whatever, is really embracing this simplicity to the church. Could you speak a little bit to that? Like that the church can be very simple. Like for us right now in San Francisco, we've transitioned from 10 people meeting at home to 10 people meeting on a Zoom call. And not too much is changed because it was already really simple. We didn't have to do a great performance.
Yeah. I think Rob proved your simplicity point with the diamond illustration from last time. God can use anyone. Um, I think the key is like what you were saying. Like for us, it wasn't that big a deal because the church was built upon these tight relationships, and it wasn't a big deal because almost all our pastors had other forms, other jobs, and so the church's offering going down, it doesn't affect us at all. But I know that's not true across the board. And I'm just saying, like, for me, I've always tried to operate in a way to which I didn't have to stress out about money. And that goes for my personal life as well. It's like, let's just live simply enough to where, kind of like we quote that Philippians 4:13, like I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But that's in the context of Paul saying, I know how to be happy. I know how to be content, whether I have a ton or nothing. Like I can do everything through Christ. And the church has to be the same way. It's like if you need all of these things for you to feel like we're thriving, something's off. Like we're talking about the very Spirit of God being with us and the very presence of Christ being with us in a room, or just even when 2 or 3 gather, there's something special about it. And there's something, even right now, being with you guys on this Zoom call, my heart is like encouraged, like just seeing your faces again. And it's like, it's something that I want people to understand. It's not just okay if all that stuff is gone. It's better. It can be better. Like stripping away some of that stuff, you get to the core of human beings created in the image of God, becoming one with one another. And you start realizing, wow, that's better than a great band. That's better than a great sermon. Celebrating communion in the presence of Christ and the angels and the saints, like, wow, that was actually better. Like, I don't want to leave this room. How many times did we gather in a simple way and just go, I don't want this to end. Like, this is too good. This is too good. And so it's not like, hey, it's not like this minimalist mentality or this ascetic, type of mindset of suffering. But it's saying, no, Christ was onto something, that it was good, him just being with this little group of disciples and living this life together and this adventure. Last thing I'll say is I feel like this is a time where, on Easter, I was thinking about the resurrected Christ. Like, can you imagine if you were one of the disciples and you saw Jesus risen from the dead, and he says, follow me. The thrill and the peace, like I saw this guy walk on water. I saw him rise from the dead. I saw him heal like paralyzed, blind. I saw him calm the seas. And now he just died on the cross and came back to life and says he has all authority and he's telling me to follow him. Like, what do you fear at that point as long as you're next to him? It's like, man, anywhere, Jesus, let's go. Like, I wouldn't worry about saying goodbye to my family. I wouldn't, because he's indestructible. He's got it all figured out. He's in control of everything. And there's just be this peace and this enjoyment of just take me anywhere. I feel like the Lord, and I think I shared it with, We Are Church for Easter, but I feel like he's just saying, I want to take you on this journey with me. Let's just go. We're just going to start hiking. And I'm not even going to tell you where we're going, but I'll tell you it ends in paradise with me. The greatest place you've ever been. And all right, I would just say, let's go. let's go. But I feel like there's a lot of people that are saying, Jesus, I'll give you like a 1 mile perimeter. Okay. I'll go anywhere within a mile of my house. Can't we just go run laps? I don't want to run cross country. Let's run laps, around my block so I can see my house, every couple minutes. Like we just want to stay in this circle. And then there's other people that are saying, I got a better idea, Jesus. I'll buy 2 treadmills. This way I can stay in my house and let's just run alongside of me in my house and we'll have great fellowship. And I'm just saying the Lord is taking the church on a journey and we want to do laps with him, or we want to just stay in this one place and just have his presence show up there. And this is an exciting time. Like we know how it ends as long as we keep following the resurrected Christ. And I just, as leaders, people are they're gonna feed off of us. And so if we're freaked out, they're gonna be freaked out. If we come with an excitement of things are gonna change, things are changing, but I'm totally at peace because the resurrected Christ is with me. Man, that's the type of attitude we've got to be discipling our people with, rather than, okay, if we can't have it this way, we're going to be frustrated. Man, we have millions of people who have lost their jobs, and they'll never go back to that. And we don't want them freaking out unless I get this job back. My life is a mess. And so in the same way, in the church, we've got to be the same way. Just going, hey, Christ is here. I may not be able to get the salary I used to have. I may not get paid. I may not eat what I used to eat. I may not live where I used to live. But I'm on this journey, and it ends in paradise. So I'm good with it. I've learned to be content in everything.
That's so good, right? That's what I've been kind of what you're getting at is what I've been meditating on a lot in all of this is his sovereign hand, like how much in control God is right now. And if we are, as leaders in the church, aren't acting like that, like trusting that God is moving, God is at work, like he is accomplishing his purposes. Satan has not hijacked the steering wheel and taken over the ship. Like God is on the throne. What is he doing? Really is the question. Like, what is God up to in all of this? And let's join in. He's doing great things. So, man, thank you. That's super encouraging. I hope very helpful for those of you listening in. Check out and look for more videos coming up.